What's up, humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we are looking at a combo tutorial for Invoked Utopia. It's a really cool deck. Honestly, Utopia is just really cool that it's playable right now regardless, but I do think the Utopia version is like the most interesting version because I think the synergy between Invoked and Utopia is really clean. Even if you don't love Invoked, I know Invoked has gone a little dry, a little stale for a lot of people out there. Dogmatica Invoke Shadal has been around for a minute now, but still, I think the synergies are really cool. The deck's really cool. Hopefully this will help you get a little bit of a better grasp of like the idea of the deck you're aiming for. Simple, like 2, maybe 3 card combos. And I'm going to try and keep it simple. Hopefully it makes sense to everybody. And yeah, subscribe if you like this video and you want to see more like it from other decks down the line. And I'll see you in the first little combo. Let's go. All right, guys, the first combo we are looking at today is probably the best one, at least the best like 2-card combo I can show you. And that combo is obviously Alistair the Invoker plus ZS Ascended Sage. This is, you know, it's just really good. You get insane amounts of value off of this combo, and it's not, you don't necessarily straight lose to Nibiru. If you're going for the more greedy play, which is probably what you should be going for, just so that like you win the duel if you do resolve it, it just does lose a little bit harder to nib. You don't really lose though, because like even if you get nibbed, you like still like almost guarantee end with Makaba. So it's like, yes, you lose the rest to nib, but at least you get to Makaba, and which is follow up as well as disruption, and you know, we can do the best with what we got there. But without further ado, let's jump into it. First combo here. Ascended Sage is the best monster you can open with Alistair. This is a 7 of and a 7 of because of all the search cards you have. We've got Meltdowns, we've got Construction, we've got Reinforcement of the Army because Ascended Sage is a warrior, so it's actually pretty consistent to see this stuff. So anyway, we'll start obviously by summoning our Ascended Sage because he needs no cards on our field to be summoned. Then we'll normal summon our Alistair and we'll use his effect. By the way, this pile of cards I have here up at the top of the corner, it's just going to make it easier for me so I don't have to sift through the entire deck every single time I'm going to try and search something. So we'll grab our invocation for Alistair. That is in hand. We will go ahead and we'll make our first rank 4 here. Now I think it's very, very crucial that we need to make Utopia double here, even if you're going first. I know that seems weird, but there's a very important part for that. So we are actually going to trigger Utopia Double's effect to search a rank up magic force or rank up magic card from our deck to our hand. You're like, John, he doesn't have that effect. Well, ZS Ascended Sage says the monster that is Exceed summoned using him as material actually gains that effect. So it is technically doubles effect. If our opponent attempts to Valor or Impermas here, we actually can chain the Utopia Double because it is a quick effect to like search the double or nothing and rank up, which will dodge any of those types of effects. That's why I love doing this, because otherwise our Alistair is stuck to our Utopia Double. And also, you can just like, if you don't have any other like playable cards in your hand, you can just like lose on that. So like you always need to be making Utopia double here. There. So let's say we do it and we do get impermed or valored. If not, don't use it in that same chain. Wait till it resolves, just as like it's kind of like a stalemate, right? But like you're winning it because you're forcing your opponent to have to like back off and like not fire anything. So we'll detach the Alistair. And I'm already looking through the deck, so I'm a dunce. We will search this. Oh, sorry. We're going to search double or nothing first, and then at the beginning of the chain, we will go ahead and search our rank up magic. This is the new one, Hyper Rank Up Magic Utopia Force. This card's very important. And then also, sorry, we're ranking up, and it's kind of funny, but I'm actually going to summon regular Utopia here. It may look weird, but it's actually very important that we get 4 materials on our Dragonar. So this is how we do it. We're going to summon Utopia, then we're just going to use any of our easy to rank up on Utopia monsters. That could be this could be C39, or whatever else can just easily rank on top of a Utopia, just so we have 4 materials. So now we are at this point, we can just go ahead and target our Utopia Prime with Utopia Force to go ahead and make ourselves a Dragonar. Really good, really important. And this card has one more effect engraved. We'll get to that in a sec. So now we go to Dragonar's effect again. I'm going to go ahead and detach double and Ascended Sage. I like going double because once you use them once, it's pretty much dead for the rest of the duel. So that's something I don't mind banishing. And we'll go ahead and we'll summon our Leo Utopia Ray straight out of the extra deck. Very, very good. With this, I'm going to go ahead and trigger our Rank Up Magic Utopia Force effect, which is if an Exceed monster is summoned. Let's see, I want to read it specifically. If an Exceed monster is special summoned by the effect of a rank 10 or higher Utopia monster, while this card is in the graveyard, you can target one of those special summon monsters and attach it to it as material. So boom, get it an Imperial. That's actually very important because now we can use his effect to detach the material to equip himself with... I'm looking at the pile again. What am I doing? Twin Saber right here. We're going to equip him with Twin Saber. That's also very good. From there, we're going to go ahead and... okay. So one thing you need to know now is we do have a monster negate here. We have a permanent impermanence type effect that also cuts the monster's attack in half permanently. Really, really strong. There's not so much to do else on our own turn. We're just going to activate Invocation. We're going to do our invoked stuff. We're going to banish Utopia Double and Alistair. Alistair plus a light, and we will go ahead and summon our Makaba to the field. Here, we'll go ahead and put him in defense mode because I don't want to lose his hard to Lightning Storm or like multiple crazy spells. There, and then we'll finish up by using Invocation's effect. It'll shuffle itself back into the deck, and we will get Alistair back to hand. Now, I would say we're done, but we're just done on our turn. Actually, when we get to the opponent's turn, Dragonar is not a ignition effect. It's actually a quick effect. So we can go ahead and we can just detach the two materials on our opponent's turn and also summon a Titanic Lad. So now we get to our official end board here, and I'm going to be honest, this is insane value for 2-card combo. I mean, it really is. So what we're looking at here, we have essentially this: a spell negate with Hope Harbinger, a permanent impermanence effect that also cuts the monster's attack in half permanently, as well as a Twin Saber interruption that is a monster negate, but it's a really weird one because it actually negates on resolution. Now, it does have to be a monster effect on field, but this is still a very powerful negation. And of course, we have Makaba, which is not just a guaranteed monster negate, it's actually a guaranteed spell negate as well, just because we get to search Double or Nothing for free off of the Utopia Double. So this can be a spell or a monster negate that can actually come up hugely. If you've played Invoked before, I'm sure it's come up in weird situations before where you only had the Alistair in hand, or just like 2 or 3 monsters in hand, and then your opponent activates like a spell that you have to negate, and you can't. So it definitely comes up. That's nice there, because especially if you discard this, you'll have the Alistair as follow-up next turn, and that's almost always going to be game. But yeah, the value there is so insane. Also, don't forget that Dragonar has, is Hope Harbinger the detach effect? So this one, the battle phase effect for this one is an effect, but also when we summon him, we can also equip this to him, I believe, engrave. So that's not really a problem. And then Dragonar, of course, can lower an opponent's monster's attack to 0 if it attacks. Yeah. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can change the attack of the opponent's monster to 0. So, like, even helps you with, like, potentially being cleared over or anything like that, which is really, really nice. So, value's insane. That's our best 2-card combo. I'm going to go ahead and show you others that are slightly different, just to give you a good idea of, just better idea of, like, what you're doing once you see your hands. All right, so the next combo I'm going to go ahead and show you is Alistair the Invoker with Armed Sage specifically. Now, the one thing I want to say with Armed Sage is this combo is technically exactly the same, even if you just see Invoker plus any level 4 extender that like doesn't lock you out of Exceed summoning or anything like that. And so it changes just ever so slightly, but it is still like essentially the same 2-card combo, but like you just end very, very slightly differently. So here's the way you go. Let's go ahead and do Armed Sage, and then we'll look at the end and be like, oh, if we use like a Shade Brigandine or an Astral Utopia, like this is the slight difference. Anyway, from here, we are going to go normal summon Alistair. Alistair effect, obviously. We are going to grab our Invocation. Then we're going to special our Armed Sage. From here, we're going to go ahead and Exceed these two into a double. Again, surprise, surprise. From here, we're going to trigger the Double's effect that's being given to it by Armed Sage to search any ZW monster straight from the deck. We do not want Twin Saber, guys. Please do not do Twin Saber here. It's a huge mistake. If you search this card, your life points have to be 2,000 less than your opponent's for you to be able to get this equipped to an Exceed from hand. Whereas Tornado Bringer or Lightning Blade, if you're playing it, can just equip from hand. So that's why we want to get Tornado Bringer here 100,000%. There, and let's just say if our opponent ever wants to Imperm or Veiler us here, which could completely throw off our entire turn, we can obviously just tag out our double using his effect to go ahead and quickly get us a Double or Nothing, and of course rank us up. And I'm actually going to get kind of crazy here. I think I want to rank us straight into our end board monster, Leo Utopia Ray. I know it's kind of weird, but there's no real clean way to do Dragonar with just this 2-card combo. That really feels like super duper worth it, because if you go Dragonar and Dragonar into Ray, then you won't have gone through the rank up, which means you won't have a way to get a material on Ray, which means Ray cannot equip Twin Saber, which is really, really tough. I mean, theoretically, since we already used Bringer, you could do it just to get Bringer, or just to summon him and then equip the Bringer, which would give him his like imperm effect and he'd be untargetable, but then it's like, I don't know, it's just a little bit underwhelming. I think this is like the better ceiling way. You get to keep the Dragonar, but he won't have enough material to really get you anywhere successful, so I think this is better at the end of the day because it only have 3 materials. So from here, we need to detach materials, obviously, to get things going. We're going to go ahead and detach the Alistair, the Invoker, and we're going to also go ahead and... Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even detach earlier. I needed to detach for Utopia's doubles effects. That's why I knew something was a little bit weird here. So we're actually going to detach the Sage. We'll keep the Sage. We'll detach the double here. I thought that looked weird. I was like, how do I not have a light with Alistair and Grave? Anyway, and we will go ahead and equip straight from the deck our Twin Saber. Here. Very good. We've got double negates there. We'll go ahead and activate our invocation, banishing both of these. Again, this is very simple. It's not that different, but it just gives you the other play line to go for. You just go straight into the Utopia Ray off of your double instead of going into Dragonar. Then we'll go ahead and we'll shuffle our invocation back and we'll get the Alistair back to hand. And then we will finish by equipping our Tornado Bringer also to our Leo Utopia Ray. So what do we have here? In this hand, it's just slightly different. We don't get to end on the Hope Harbinger and the Dragonar, so we do lose a little bit of OTK potential and one of our interruptions, but we still get 3 interruptions with follow-up out of this 2-card combo, and that's pretty good because we also make a much more threatening Utopia Ray, because now he is still his impermanence effect, his permanent impermanence effect. You have the monster negate with Twin Pegasus, and he's untargetable, but also it's not just 3,500 with the buff to Twin Saber, he's actually plus 13 more, so he's actually 4,800 combined with 25, and if we keep Alistair in hand, that's 35, which would actually be 8,300 damage, and that's actually OTK going into the next turn, which is insane. Also, don't forget, we have a spell and a monster in hand to discard off of Makaba for his negate, which gives us a little bit of versatility because it's like monster negate. It's nice to have also a potential spell negate here for sure, just because of the double or nothing. So I definitely appreciate that. So the combo's not that different. It just shows you the different line of going straight into the Utopia Ray. And of course, if you used a generic level 4 that didn't give you a search or anything, like for the Tornado Bringer, you literally get the exact same combo, just no Tornado Bringer. You're 3,500, you're targetable, but you still have the same 3 interruptions with a follow-up off of just 2 cards. Still pretty good. I'll take it. And the final portion of this video is actually going to be me talking a little bit about the deck's biggest weakness, which is definitely Nib. I'm not going to pretend like it's not a weakness. I know I've mentioned it in the earlier combos, but there are a couple ways that you can actually attempt to play around the card depending on what your hands look like. So obviously, if your hand is like just Alistair, you can make Makaba without ever even like triggering anything there, which is even better because like you just do like Alistair, search the invocation, obviously. Hold on. Let me give you the quick little lowdown here. Obviously, search the invocation, link it off. That's why I do play 1 copy of Artemis for very specific scenarios like this one. Then we can obviously just invocation immediately and go ahead and get our Makaba. Now our Makaba's on the field. We can add back the Alistair with invocation and we're kind of set to go. At least we got our 1 interruption and Nib is not going to be live. On top of that, what is nice is that depending on the kind of extenders you open and how many you play, if you open a really nice hand, you just like happen to have like Shade Brigandine plus like a copy of like Astral Karibo, boom, plop those bad boys both on the field, and then just go ahead and like pop off into a rank 4 play as well, because now you are protected under that. So if you can afford that, then that's awesome. In my build, I don't really play enough extenders for that to be too open to me, like really consistently. And unfortunately, Makaba is your 3rd summon. But if you do have a monster in hand aside from your whatever it is, so here I'll show you what I'm thinking here. So you have like, let's say you have like Sage and Arm Sage, right? So we can go like this in this same line of play. You can go special Ascended Sage, special Arm Sage, because you have to have exactly one level 4 and nothing else on the field. Well, that's 2 summons. Then we go for our Alistair. That's our 3rd summon. Then we go straight into this play, right? Oh, have him right here. 4th summon into Artemis, and then Invocation, banishing these 2, is our 5th summon. Now, I would assume our opponent would think like, wow, he would never go for that play unless he has a monster in hand. Now, you can try to bluff it too, and like maybe you'll be like, well, they won't fire the nib if they think I wouldn't do this play. But whatever, right? Like, it just depends. Because this is the 5th summon, and if you don't have another monster as one of the other 2 cards in your hand, you're kind of screwed here. But if you do, you're safe, right? And now you've already got your 2 monsters on the field. You're able to do everything without opening like the crazy hand of like Astral Karibo and thing. And so you are playing under nib here. If you opened any monster, you just go into your double, and then you do your basic play where you double up into Leo Utopia Ray and get 2 more monster negations set up here. Pretty good. So yeah, that's like the last little part I want to talk about. Actually, there is one other way as well. Just something to note here. If you are going to if you just open 2 level 4s also is another thing, without Alistair. So it's the first combo without Alistair, funny enough. But let's just say you open these 2, and let's say these aren't even these. Like, literally just say these are, you know what I mean? Here, actually, let's just I'll give you a better example. Well, maybe I'm not. And you know what? Let's say it's Alistair plus just like the Shade. And we're going to go normal Alistair, and let's say he gets negated. So essentially, this is the equivalent of just like any level 4 body, right? Just any level 4. Then we're going to set our Shade, obviously summon the Shade, and then we'll make a rank 4. It's super simple, but it's kind of like what we looked at before. Utopia double, detach the Alistair, and then we'll go ahead and rank up into the Leo. And we'll Leo, detaching, well, we'll detach this because if we had Invocation, then like our opponent just, sorry, buddy. And then we'll get the ZW, and there you go. I mean, you just pass on this, but this was like through a hand trap, and we didn't summon enough times for nib because we went one Alistair, 2 Shade, 3 double, and then 4 into Ray. So we didn't even summon 5 times, and we've got at least an impermanence effect plus that, and he's 3,500, so he's not going to be the easiest to out. And if your 1 monster center was Arm Sage, you also end with the ZW, so he's 48, can't be targeted, and you know, you've obviously got a higher ceiling there. So really cool stuff. Just a couple ways to play under nib. You do you're going to go for a little, like a smaller ceiling play, but you know, if it gets the job done, it pretty much just blanks a card in your opponent's hand. I think a lot of times that is going to be absolutely worth it at the end of the day. So really cool stuff. Hopefully this video helped you out here. Hopefully for this specific build, this showed you a little bit of what this is about. I want also everybody to realize that this is a specific build. I actually haven't seen a ton of people playing the Invoked variant, which is fine. I mean, I think it's the most interesting build out there because obviously like the onomatopoeia stuff is obviously pretty popular there, and just like the more pure builds, which is like a bunch of extenders and you play the cards you got to play and you just like barrel through into stuff, but you do just like super hard lose to nib. It is what it is, right? So I like it a lot. Feel free to mess around. There's definitely like other rank up cards as well you could potentially play with because Ascended Sage searches them, and so does Astral Utopia. So there's a good amount of just rank up cards that also could be potentially playable in the list that are like kind of cool. You could play some slightly different extra deck monsters. I do think there is a good amount of like flexibility in the extra deck for like what kind of stuff you'd want to play, but it's all just up to the individual player. But that's going to do it for me here today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel down below if you want to see more content like this in the future. And go ahead and let me know down below if you think there's any other like interesting includes I should be looking at in the deck. I'm always looking for stuff. I am still focused on the Utopia or on the Invoked build. I think it's the coolest build out there right now. So feel free to let me know any thoughts there or any other combo lines that you thought were interesting that maybe didn't come up in this video. But I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.